The take a knee issue was interesting within the skeptic sphere. While this all took place a while ago, I feel like their responses are interesting and worth exploring. My main focus is going to be weeding out those arguments in bad faith. Arguing in bad faith is intentional deceit of others. Once it's clear someone argues in this manner, you have no obligation to listen and debate their arguments. First, I'm going to be taking a look at Paul Joseph Watson. His take on this issue is hilariously disingenuous and insults the viewer's intellect.
Kaepernick did it as a pro-Black Lives Matter stunt to draw attention to cops murdering African Americans. A narrative that's been completely debunked, given that white people are more likely to be shot dead by cops, despite black people committing more violent crimes.
In this clip, he cites an article. But what article? There's nothing in the description. He doesn't say where it's from. The only defining clues we get is the fact that it says Washington Post. So I tracked down the study. The article's called, "Aren't More White People Than Black People Killed by Police? Yes, but no." In Paul Joseph Watson's video, he shared this paragraph. In 2015, the Washington Post launched a real-time database to track fatal police shootings, and the project continues this year. As of Sunday, 1,502 people have been shot and killed by on-duty police officers since January 1st, 2015. Of them, 732 were white, and 381 were black, and 382 were of another or unknown race. The next line, the very next line reads, "But as data scientists and policing experts often note, comparing how many or how often white people are killed by police to how many or how often black people are killed by the police is statistically dubious unless you first adjust for population. According to the most recent census data, there are nearly 160 million more white people in America than there are black people. White people make up roughly 62% of the US population, but only about 49% of those who are killed by police officers. African Americans, however, account for 24% of those fatally shot and killed by the police, despite being just 13% of the US population. As the Post noted in a new analysis published last week, that means black Americans are 2.5 times as likely as white Americans to be shot and killed by police officers." This proves that Paul Joseph Watson is arguing in bad faith. Unless he literally only read those two paragraphs, this constitutes as willfully misleading viewers. Since this is the guy who literally writes for InfoWars, I'm not too surprised that he's the first to fall. Next we have Andy Worski. He really doesn't have any arguments or any substance. He cites the same misinformation Paul Joseph Watson does, but he doesn't cite any sources. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he picked it up along the way, just being in the skeptosphere. During the course of this video, he and his friend call those protesting,
"You fucking retarded fucks. Go to Mexico. You go out there and you do this, what you've been doing forever, and you fucking suck it up. Take a knee if you want.
Ridiculous.
We're not saying
You
you
get a good
can't
paycheck.
take a knee.
Yeah.
We're not saying you can't. We're just saying you're faggots if you do. Go to Mexico."
Honestly, I'm not sure what to discuss here. There's not really a lot of substance. I'll check on Andy Worski in the next video I make, but for now, I think that's about it. Next is some black guy who I really haven't heard of before this video, so I don't really know his MO. He immediately points out how much money they make, and then says them thinking their voice needs to be heard is hysteria and BS. To his credit, he says that he thinks both the players and Trump are causing division. He thinks it's stupid because sports are supposed to be disconnected from politics, but that's actually not the case. An article from The Guardian puts it best. Jesse Owens staring down Hitler's master race in Berlin, Jackie Robinson shattering baseball's color barrier, Muhammad Ali's objection, Fisher and Spassky's Cold War proxy battle, the Olympic boycotts of the 1980s. The truth is, the times when politics have been absent from sport are more extraordinary than when they haven't. The biggest issue with this video is that he claims these players could do so many other things, like going to city councils and talking to police departments. Taking the knee specifically is garnering so much more attention than any grassroots campaign ever could. It's absurd to say that they should be doing some other form of activism when this one is bringing more attention to the issue than anything else ever has. I might have a pretty low bar here, but overall one of the better videos I've seen. While I think he misses a lot of the nuance, he doesn't really throw out any awful slurs and is generally pretty respectful. Next up is No Bullshit, and God is this one bad. He comes out of the gate swinging, saying,
"Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're finally chiming in on this NFL story, the whole protesting the national anthem shit. What once started as a few players kneeling for Black Lives Matter, a joke activist group by the way, based on lies and propaganda, but that's besides the point."
Citation needed. He then claims normies need a Trump translator after showing the less popular clip, not the "get that son of a bitch out of here" one from Trump. Up to this point, most skeptics have at some point said that Trump shouldn't have meddled in the way he did, either calling it further division or possible threat of public policy. He says Trump isn't wrong, even though he could be coming off as a bully. No bullshit claims the line Trump was being criticized for was when he said the NFL numbers are massively down. Were you there? He's clearly arguing in bad faith, trying to concoct a narrative where he can tear down a straw man. Obviously, people were upset because he said, "Get that son of a bitch out of here." That's totally irresponsible behavior and language for the President of the United States. He also defends Trump's claim that they're making it too safe for players. This is just such a crazy argument for me, especially since it was found that degenerative brain disease is in 87% of former football players, and this is why, excuse my language, calling these players pussies is completely absurd. They're not only risking their bodies, but they're also risking their job security to, at the very least, stand in solidarity, but mostly to stand up for what they believe in. This is where the argument seriously gets bad. He says he's not going to give the NFL the attention it was desperately looking for.
If we're being honest, I wasn't going to talk about this NFL bullshit at all until today. I thought it was a bit silly, even for my show. Overpaid millionaires protesting in the country that made them rich and famous? I mean, come on. There is some irony there, but I was originally not going to give the NFL the attention it was so desperately grasping for.
I'm sure they're on the edge of their seat hoping that no bullshit would give the fucking NFL attention. He calls the entire thing.
This kneel-a-thon was a fucking publicity stunt. The NFL ratings were tanking and they got bashed by Trump and then they got real desperate. But instead of going patriotic and defending the flag like Trump said they should, the NFL doubled down and had the entire league kneel in solidarity. Dumb fucks.
A publicity stunt because their ratings are tanking. Get your tinfoil hats on, folks. They're not kneeling in solidarity of their fellow players the President of the United States said to fire. They're not kneeling for the little guy and the state of the country. The NFL created this controversy and forced the players to kneel for a publicity stunt. Also, I try to take insults with a grain of salt, but this one's just too bad.
Colin Kaepernick is a goddamn pussy. Half-black loser piece of shit. This douchebag was raised by white people for Christ's sake. And now he wants to be all Black Lives Matter? What a front.
He also says the ratings went through the roof at the game they stood, again with no sources. Then he says a ton of opinions about Trump. Garbage video with no substance. Next. The next video I'm going to be taking a look at is Steven Crowder's NFL Pansies, the real take the knee problem. I'm ready to be enlightened.
So it was gone for a while.
I was just going to say I was incredibly frustrated because I'm okay with people protesting, but I am not okay with people being whipped up into a frenzy about something that wasn't worth protesting.
It's based on a lie.
It is based on a lie.
Exactly on a lie. Don't shoot was a lie.
Yeah.
Tamir Rice, we talked about it on the show, said, hey, it looks bad until we saw the video. That was a lie. Corin Gaines was a lie. We've done this video on Black Lives Matter, which, by the way, is demonetized and actually in restricted mode on YouTube.
Why not?
It was based on lie after lie after lie, and it's based on a statistical lie. That if you're a black kid, you're more likely to be shot. If you go out, it's just none of it is true.
This video doesn't have any citations, so I'm not sure what set of data he's using. However, to the best of my knowledge, it is true. Citation in the description, by the way. A little off topic, but especially for someone who owns a radio show and a website, they should definitely do more citations. I think they do in the website, but they should in the videos too, so I can at least more accurately portray their ideas.
Here's the problem that Trump doesn't really understand, and this is just a quick point, is that he is now president of the United States. He's not just a person who can express an opinion that's not taken as a threat of policy.
Right.
And he doesn't understand that he just throws things out there because he lives for the applause, lives for the retweets, and then he gets home, he's like, oh crap, this backlash. Time to double down.
Jared definitely gets that right. I think that's a really good description of why it's not an okay thing to say.
Well, now, I get that some people say, oh, they're protesting for the little guy. Listen, Kaepernick, I sound like Nancy Pelosi. Kaepernick had a base salary of over 12 million, 13 million, something like that in 2016.
I don't see this as an argument against the narrative that they're standing up for the little guy. I honestly don't understand why he thinks this is relevant.
Well, listen, is $13 million the league minimum, Kaepernick? No, it's not. No. What does that mean? I think he had an agent with a lot of vowels in his last name, Colin. I think he sat at that table and said, I'm worth this amount of money.
Ignoring the casual anti-Semitism there, just because players are trying to get as much money as they can, because of course they are, their careers are short and they tend to not do anything after that, that doesn't fight the narrative that they're standing up for the little guy.
The politicization of everything while acting as though it's not.
Once again, sports have always been political. Stop trying to pretend that the left is just trying to push identity politics here.
Want proof? Let me give you proof. CNN, I actually read this weekend. They have, I don't know if you call it like a column. It's something that happens every single weekend. Yep. And it's called, What Happened This Week in Anything But Politics. So it's called In Anything But Politics. And they make sure to even under the header to say, what happened? That's not political. In Anything But Politics is what it's called. What was the first thing they listed? Politics, diversity at the Emmys.
This is just a difference between the left and right. I don't think the left sees diversity as inherently political. But more importantly, what does this have to do with Colin Kaepernick and Take the Knee? The rest is about Bob Costas. I'm kind of disappointed. Most of this video is just kind of shitty jokes. I get Crowder is mostly talking to the people that already agree to him, but I was hoping he'd have more concrete points. And maybe, you know, a citation or two. Anyway, that's the end of the video today. The original video links are in the description, so you don't think I'm taking any of their statements out of context. And I'd love to hear your feedback. Let me know if there's anything you think I could do better.